Okay, if I may, I'd like to call to order the Miamisburg City School Board meeting for July 20th, 2023. Would all rise for the pledge, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're off and running.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amsler,
Here.
Mr. Daffler,
Here.
Mrs. Getter,
Here.
Mrs. Neese,
Here.
Mr. Tovine,
Present.
Dr. Blessing,
Present.
Mr. Holman.
Here.
Okay, we'd like to open our meeting with just a little bit of how the district feels about how the meeting should be conducted. So, the district mission is to foster a positive, nurturing, and safe environment and to inspire and support ongoing learning and the development of individuals as productive members of our society. We must be able to conduct our meetings in an orderly fashion. Our expectations at all board meetings is that everyone conducts themselves civilly and respectfully. In the event anyone is disruptive and interferes with the meeting, they will be asked to leave. If they do not leave, we will request that the law enforcement assist them in the process. Okay. As a reminder of our expectations, at all board meetings, everyone is conducting themselves civilly and respectfully. We will not tolerate profanity, frivolous, repetitive, or harassing statements. And if you happen to speak this evening, remember that you address the board and not individuals, please. Okay. The approval and adoption of the agenda for this evening. Anybody have any questions about the agenda? No? Okay. How about the approval of the minutes for the record retention meeting held on June 29, 2023, regular board meeting held on June 29, 2023, and the special meeting work session held on July 17, 2023. Any comments? Nope. Okay. Next, we'll go to the approval of the financial report, and we'll allow Mr. Blevins.
Yes, so there hasn't been a whole lot of activity yet, but if you remember at the last board meeting, because the end of the month hadn't closed out yet, the June bank reconciliation needed to be brought forth in this financial report. And so that's what's on there.
Okay, thank you. Any board members, questions? Oh, okay. Next, we'll go to item F, recognition of citizens and staff and students. Today, I will turn this over to Ann.
Yes. Last month, we recognized our Business Honor Roll recipients, but Jane's on Main did not get their letter. She's been having trouble getting some of her mail, so we wanted to recognize her tonight. And Doctor, if you want to come up to the podium, Jane, Dr. Blessing has the certificate. And I just wanted to say a little bit about what Jane's on Main has done for our district. They established an emergency student fund for immediate needs, such as paying for medication or medical needs, safe housing, transportation to and from appointments, food, shoes, clothing. This was administered by the Kinder Student Assistant Program. She also helps with the hygiene closet at the high school. and just is always doing things for Miamisburg schools, and we just truly appreciate it. And I think Bennett's also helped with some of those donations for the Emergency Student Fund, and I know we've recognized them in the past. So thank you very much.
And Jane, we'd like to present you with this recognition award, and there's the cover letter that Mrs. Neese read, and we appreciate your support of Miamisburg Schools and our partnership. And I think they might want to take your picture. So does someone got a camera down there, ladies, or do you need mine? Stacy, I'll put this mic.
Oh, and she was nominated by Becca Huber. I send out a letter every year and ask for nominations, and Mrs. Huber nominated Jane Zalmain.
Thank you. You sure you don't want to stay for this meeting, Jane?
That's a good excuse.
Okay, next, we'll move on to board discussion, and I ask Dr. Blessing to do a construction update.
Thank you, Mr. Toadvine. This will be quick. We didn't have our regular elementary enrollment study meeting this month. This was our summer break. And so I just wanted to give the board and our community a quick update on what is happening with the construction and some of our new developments across Miamisburg and the township. So we have a few slides. So just a reminder, as Mr. Homan's getting this pulled up, that anyone viewing or anyone in the audience who would like to visit our website, we do have an elementary enrollment tab under the superintendent page that gives our monthly construction updates. If we do have an elementary enrollment study meeting, those minutes are there, as well as any data or school visits we've attended. So it looks like it's having a problem loading. And if not, I can just kind of give the highlights of the month. Oh, did we get it to go? Maybe because there's too many pictures on there, it's taking a while to load. Lights, camera, action, maybe. Great. So if you want to go to the next slide, just some pictures. These pictures here are of the Chamberlain development. The picture, I guess, on the far right is the MI Homes model home, which is now open. That was not open last month. The middle picture is part of the Rivendell area there at Chamberlain as well in the township. And then the great big includes the apartments and the two housing developments. So I've got some, on the next couple slides, I've got some data on each one of those developments. Just in Aberdeen, right now, it's hard to get to Aberdeen if you drive down Miamisburg Springboro Road. It's closed, but they are very busy. Last month, we reported they had about 12 empty lots. I wasn't able to get back in there when I stopped by today because of all the construction and also the closed roads, but I did notice that I only saw 2 available on the street. So I know on the street that Mr. Home and I visited last month, there were more than 2. So I believe they're quickly finishing their project, but hopefully we'll have some concrete numbers on exactly where Aberdeen is next month. And then if you want to jump to Rivendell, as of today, they have 17 sold lots. They have not begun construction on any of those lots, but there are 17 sold, and this continues to increase every month. I believe they have 81 home sites total that they're going to be marketing and selling in that development. And that, of course, right now is in our Bower enrollment area. If you want to jump to the next one, the Chamberlain Crossing, this is also in the Bower enrollment area. It's in the township, but it's the same development. It's just kind of at the top as you exit off of 741. This is their model home. It is now open, as well as the Rivendell. Both of the model homes are currently open and selling. And MI has 6 other homes that are actually under construction. They have roofs, they have windows, doors, and we're not sure if those are speculation homes or if they're just building them or if they've already been sold. So we need to check on that. But if you look on the next slide, it kind of shows the whole development. of Chamberlain on the MI Homes part, they have started their second road, so it kind of wraps around. And so I would believe that road will be open within the week. You can actually see they're starting to put the curbs and then pouring. So I don't know if that's where they're going to open and start selling homes. So we try to stop in when there's people in the sales office and just ask if they can give the schools an update, and they're always glad to. So. And then the last picture here, you can kind of see these are all MI homes, and there's 6 of them. They have they couple 2 together in like different parts of the road. So you can drive up there. You can get in if you can avoid the work trucks and the construction and all of that. And then Redwood Apartments, again, is busy up there. I'm seeing a lot of maybe utility wires and spots that I haven't noticed before, and you can now drive back in there. Their poured driveway streets are all finished. And then we don't have any new updates on Patriot Place or Deer Park unless any of the board members or anybody else in our study has heard. We've just been keeping an eye out to see if any of those developments have begun. So Austin Commons, of course, is the apartment complex along 741 right across from Austin Landing, and that is continually, it's under construction and new updates every day. They're actively working. We're just not sure. I think Mr. Geyer, the principal, said it was about an October open date for those residents, and those are apartments. So we will, in August, we will have a lot of information during our board report, and also we're going to be meeting as a committee. The secretaries in all of our elementary buildings will be returning next week. So Mrs. Dobson will be working closely with them on enrollment numbers. We have seen an increase in our kindergarten enrollment definitely over the summer. So that's going to be a little tricky as we try to navigate our full day and half day sections. And then we're also going to begin looking at enrollment maps because our transportation software is able to run some different redistricting maps, and so we can plug all this enrollment in once we know it to kind of give us some really concrete numbers on what we need to look at to try to equalize class sizes and just our populations across the 7 elementary buildings. And then we'd also like to just spend some time reviewing high-performing schools that have the same kind of demographics and likeness to Miamisburg so that we can see what programming they do and how they're most successful. So if you have any questions, I know that Mrs. Dobson's happy to answer any. I am. I know Mrs. Neese and Mrs. Getter are also on the committee, and Mr. Homan helps us get to all of our bus tours, so he's happy to help as well. So, but again, please visit our website for those of you who are watching this evening, but stay tuned. We'll have a lot of information, a lot of concrete data, because our next board meeting, we will be in session. So we'll have some updated information. So thank you.
Wow. Time flies.
It does.
Item H, it's recommended that the Board of Education approve the meeting opening items A through G. May I have a motion, please?
I move for the approval of the meeting opening items A alpha through G golf.
Second.
We had a first from Mr. Amsler, a second from Mr. Daffler. Those items. Roll call.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes.
Those items have passed. Move on to the consent agenda. Item A, approval of the out-of-state travel overnight student trips. Dr. Laura Blessing, Strategic Planning, Charlottesville, Indiana, July 24th through to July 24th, 2023. Dr. Laura Blessing, Pathways to Prosperity Network, Fall Institute, Cambridge, Massachusetts, October 23rd through the 25th of 2023.
Sure. On the 24th, I'll be driving over to Charlottesville, Indiana. We had 2 strategic planning partners when we developed our strategic plan a few years ago, and they are both going to be there at a conference, and they've invited me to just attend for the day, so I'll just drive over and get to hear kind of any new insights and tips that they give as we continue to work through our strategic plan. We're gearing up for year 3 and getting any information that they would suggest that we use to just strengthen ours and make it better for our students and our staff.
Dr. Blessing, if you would please, would you give a brief background on where the strategic plan is at? What's behind the idea of some people maybe are listening don't know what a strategic strategic plan is.
Sure. It is just our guiding principles that we set as a district. We had about 40 initial committee members on our strategic plan. We had board members, we had administrators, we had members of our negotiating units, our Teamsters and our MCTA. We had community members. We had any business reps, parents, and we selected 5 areas to focus on. And if I forget one, let me know, folks. We have finance and facilities, so that helps us develop a 5-year plan for any type of rotations in terms of buses, maintenance in each building, windows, doors, technology, all of that combined, and also just looking at our levies and our finances to see if we can develop a cycle and how we need to address that in a clear and concise manner. We have our teaching and learning committee, which is also, their main focus is working on a vision of a Viking for K through 12 to align the priority standards so that we, no matter what elementary school your student attends all the way up through high school, we have some very and they've got it up on the screen, some action items for that. In addition to teaching and learning, we have the student ownership committee, which they kind of couple just so that we give our students a voice in our strategic plan and try to, our goal there is to increase student engagement. And then we also have the Safety and Sense of Belonging Committee. So that committee has action items to not only make sure we have a concrete and comprehensive plan for the physical safety of our students, our staff, and our facilities, but also the well-being of our students through their social emotional learning components and the MTSS process. And then our final one is, I think I didn't miss any, is our Communication, Collaboration, and Decision-Making Committee. And we have goals that help us. They focus on our communication strategies. It encompasses our website, our parent communication, the app, any social media, how we deliver information not only to our students but our staff through our internal website, and we just all of these committees just continually set goals, and they have long-term goals, they have year goals, and our ultimate goal is to do better for our students and our staff and our community.
Thank you.
You're
You did a
welcome.
great job. I think it's important for people to know that that's going on, and it's continually going on. It's not something that's just done once and let go. It goes actually year after year, and then we're going to continue to change it. It's a fluid thing. There's a lot of concepts there that are in motion constantly. So thank you. That was impromptu too, by the way. That was very good. Next, item B, board approval is recommended for the 2023-2024 bus routes and bus stops established by the Supervisor of Transportation. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Miamisburg City Schools hereby approves the 2023-2024 bus routes and bus stops established by the Supervisor of Transportation, and the delegates authority to the superintendent and the director of business to make changes as needed during the 2023-2024 school year. Mr. Homan.
Getting close to the start of the school year, and we'll be getting route pick very soon in the very first part of August. So they are in the process of finalizing routes now. They're also working closely with the new developments on which routes we're able to get buses in, which ones we aren't able to get buses in, and all that. So we always put this on in July and getting ready to roll them out soon.
Thank you. Item C. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Miamisburg City School District authorizes district participation in the federal funded ESSER, CARES, CRF, ARP, Title I, Title IIA, Title III, Title 4A, IDEA, Special Education, Early Childhood Special Education, ESCE, Expanded Opportunities, McKinney-Vento, School Bus Purchase Program, Psychologist interns, Auxiliary Programs, and Stronger Connections grant for the 2023-2024 school year, and designates Amy Dobson, Steve Homan, Katie Lucas, Stacy Moore, Justin Blevins, and Dr. Laura Blessing, administrators of the programs assigned. And be it further resolved that the Board of Education encourages the participation of staff, parents, and other interested citizens in the development of these programs. Ms. Moore, would you like to speak to that?
So this is just a resolution we do every year for us to participate in our federal grant programs. Our typical federal grants are Title I, Title II, Title III, IDEA Early Childhood, IDEA Special Ed, and Title IV. We recently obviously had our ESSER funds. ESSER 1 has run its course. ESSER 2 has now run its course, and we are in the final year of spending the funds from ESSER 3 and any contingents with that, with the homeless and the special education that came along with ESSER. We do have a new grant, Stronger Connections grant, that we've been approved for next year, looking for building relationships and connections with students. And then we also have our school improvement grant that we focus on at Kinder. And then everybody also has pockets that they go for with the bus purchasing and psychologist intern. So we all have our hands in something.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next item is item D. It's approval of board members' trainings. In accordance with the Board of Policy, BHBA, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following requests for training as offered by the Ohio School Board Association. October 12th, 2023, Ohio School Board Association Southwest Regional Fall Conference. November 12th through the 14th, 2023, Ohio School Board Association Capital Conference. The total cost is $2,400 flat fee for all board members and administrators. Dr. Blessing.
Would you like me to talk a little bit about those two conferences?
Please.
Well, the October 12th is a regional meeting for our OSBA. So instead of going to in addition to going to our state conference in November, they hold regional meetings for the Ohio School Board Associations within Montgomery County and the contiguous counties. So these are regional meetings. They have topics. They invite us to them. They have a dinner. We're welcome to attend. There's usually a fee of $30, $40 per person. And it really just depends on our availability those evenings. It's not something we're required to attend. If we can make it and if a group of us want to go, we go. And some nights there's sporting events or there's other obligations that we have. But then we all try as a group to attend the Capital Conference, which is in November, and that's in Columbus. And it's just a very large conference that has topics on everything that is just going on in education, and it's usually very helpful, and we can pick what we want to attend. There's sessions that cater to our treasurer, our business office, our transportation, myself, and all of the board members as well. So it's always a really great learning experience. And we're able to network with a lot of different schools, not only from our area, but all across the state of Ohio.
You know, and what I really like about it, and Joe, you can attest to this too, because we've both been on the board for a while, it seems like every year there's some really important topics and stuff that are being covered that are new. And it just seems like that there's so much to learn there. I mean, I actually, sometimes I'm sitting there, I've already chosen what I want to do before I get there. And then I talk to somebody that sometimes they repeat them and they say, this is really cool, you need to go do this one. And we're like, well, okay. And we just, you have to switch what you're doing right in the middle because that really, if somebody's saying it's really, really a great class, then you go, because they're teaching you better ways to be a board member. And I've been doing this 16 years, and Joe's been around a little bit longer than I have, and it just never fails to produce things that are great. You want to comment?
Yeah, basically, it's a great event for all of the districts in Ohio, and they're very good at renewing things each year and really having some cutting-edge topics that we can all attend and learn from. So it's a great experience. It really is.
Thanks, Joe.
There's also a trade show where we can look at school equipment, air conditioners, roofing, school supplies. It's like a whole room full of people there with the different things that schools need.
Another
So we
thing-
try to bring the brochures home, and Mr. Homan attends as well, so.
And the students from different areas put on programs for us, and when the keynote speakers there, they usually have a school band or a school choir, or that's is picked because they had a fabulous year before, to come in and either sing or play or do both. It's just. And then they have special projects that they put out for us to view, and it's really neat because our curriculum people can bring it back to the teachers here and share things with them that they saw that was really exceptionally neat. So, okay. Item E is approval of consent items A through D. It's recommended that the Board of Education approve the consent items A through D. May I have a motion?
I move that we approve consent items A through D. Second.
We had a first from Mrs. Neese, a second from Mrs. Getter. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter.
Yes.
So those items have been approved. Sorry. Section 4, Human Resources Agenda Items. Item A is the approval of personnel reports, both certificated and classified. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel reports. And those are certificated and classified reports that can be found in the Treasurer's Office. Employment in the Myers-Briggs City School District is contingent upon the candidate submitting to and passing a BCI and an FBI criminal record check in accordance with the Ohio Revised Code and pre-employment drug screening in accordance with the adopted board policies. And yes, I did pass those. Is this room dead tonight? I mean, everybody's like, heat's getting everybody in it. Okay. Do I have a motion?
I move for the approval of the personnel reports certificated and classified.
I second.
Okay, so we had a first from Mr. Ambler, second from Mrs. Getter. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter.
Yes.
Okay, and that item is passed. Item B, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the following personnel reports. July 20th, 2023, supplemental stipend, PDF 54 KB. Motion.
I move that we approve the following personnel report, supplemental stipend, certificated, classified.
Second.
Because we had a first from Mrs. Neese, second from Mr. Ambler. Roll call, please.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Okay. Item is passed. Item C, approval of the superintendent's contract. It's recommended by the Superintendent and Director of Student Services to enter into an agreement. Wait a minute, where am I at here? I don't do that one yet. We got her.
I was going to say, we're going to have to table it if you don't hurry up.
It is recommended that the Board of Education award Dr. Laura Blessing a 5-year administrative contract as Superintendent of Miamisburg City Schools effective August 1st of 2024 through July 31st of 2029. Okay, and just, I will briefly explain this one. By the High Revised Code, it's the duties of the school board that beginning in January 1st of the year before their contract is due, that you have the opportunity to work out a contract with whichever person that may be. That could be the treasurer or the superintendent. And this board, we chose to go on ahead and do that. And that's not untypical for a board to do that. If any of you are in business, CEOs and people like that, their contracts are open almost any time. But we're following the High Revised Code for this. And I would just like to say thank you for everything that you've done so far. And once we get this passed, I'm going to thank you again for taking us on for another 5 years. Okay. Roll call, please.
Need a motion.
Oh, motion. That's what I get for talking too much. I don't have Tim Lewis here to pick on me about talking too much.
I make a motion that the Board of Education award Dr. Laura Blessing a 5-year administrative contract as Superintendent of Miamisburg City Schools effective August 1st, 2024 through July 31st, 2029.
I second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes?
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine.
Yes. Okay, and that item has passed. Mrs. Neese, did you want to make a comment?
No, I'm just really happy to have Dr. Blessing here. She has a human-centered leadership style. She has brought, initiatives to our district, monetary grants for computers and for safety equipment. I just know that, I'll have to say I still think it's one of the hardest jobs in America. And I appreciate that she's willing to do it here in our district, and I feel like we are blessed to have her. And that goes along with her last name.
Thank you.
I can put it this way for myself. I'm jealous of you guys because you're going to be around to work with her for a few more years, and I'll tell you, this will be my last year to be on the board. For personal reasons, for family reasons. So anyway, I'm not, announcing it to announce it, but I just wanted you to know that I have appreciated you and found a lot of joy in the things that you've done for our students, and I know you will continue to do that, and it makes me happy. I have grandchildren that are still in the school district, and I know that you'll make sure that they're taught well and things will be taken care of properly. So I really, really appreciate that. So. Okay. We did roll call. Okay. Agreements and contracts. It is recommended by the superintendent, treasurer, CFO, and the director of business services that the district approve the agreements in the Miami Valley Child Development Center Incorporated as presented. Miamisburg LSD Partner Contract 2324, NVCDC Lease Agreement 2023 through 2024.
I'm going to have Amy. Amy's going to talk about this.
Amy.
She's been very involved in establishing the program and making sure it continues to grow.
Yeah, so we have been so fortunate to have the Miami Valley Child Development Center as partners with Miamisburg City Schools. That partnership continues to expand. What you see this evening is in relation to some lease agreements so that they can utilize our space for the program at Medlar View. We will next month have some more specifics in terms of the programming agreement that involves another entity, Preschool Promise. But quite honestly, we're waiting to hear because we have applied for an early childhood education grant from the Ohio Department of Education. And so pending the outcome of that will really determine the shape of the partnership moving forward into next year. But additionally, we have expanded programming with Maddox Lang and the MVCTC, and I know Katie's been involved with that partnership, but I don't know if you want to speak to that more specifically, but we're going to be able to help provide a service for students in Head Start who are children with disabilities, and that is a requirement for Head Start, but we can work alongside them because of the children that we already have and are serving in our school. So really thrilled about the partnership and are excited that we can expand. I can tell you I'm pleased to report that all of our preschool spots at both Maddox Lang and at the preschool site at Medlar View are full. It has been a number of years since we have been on a waiting list at both of those sites, so it does show the need in the community. So while we are able to expand in a small way through our partnership with or at Maddox Lang this year, I anticipate that we will continue to look for other ways to expand this partnership to meet the needs of our youngest learners in our community.
Thank you. Dr. Blessing, can you tell me who that handsome fellow is out there with that pink tie on?
Sorry, that'd be negative. It was my husband.
Is that who that is? Thank you for sharing your bride. Todd, thank you for sharing your bride.
She loves her job.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it, honestly, I couldn't do it.
Well, you're a big part of it. Yeah.
But she loves this community.
Well, thank you. We hope you do too.
She out in public and she gets stopped all the time by students, by parents. They recognize her.
Sure. Yeah, because she's out there.
Yeah.
Because she's out there. She's around the
Definitely.
schools, and she's a blessing.
Yeah.
He might disagree sometimes.
Well, yeah, when we keep you out till
Right?
11 o'clock doing something like the other
Where's
night.
dinner,
Yeah.
right? No.
We'll Photoshop these pictures. Things not to do.
I think it's time for him to leave. Can you just
Thank you. Okay. Next, we'll move on to item B. Approval of negotiated agreement with the Teamsters Local 957. It is recommended by the superintendent and the treasurer CFO that Miamisburg City Schools Board of Education approve the attached negotiated agreement with the Teamsters Local Union 957. Carol, you want to say anything?
I think we want to wait
Yeah,
until
she
the
probably
board
should.
vote, and then we're gonna, right? Yeah. I think Mr. Homan, I want to give Mr. Homan and Mr. Blevins and also Mrs. Lucas. Those were our bargaining team members. We did a great new process this year with the IBB process, which is interest-based bargaining. And Mr. Homan can give some of the highlights because he and Carol are she'll make sure he doesn't miss anything because they've been working extremely hard to get it cleaned up and have a really good working contract as we move forward. As I told him the other night, I'm like, well, now we know what to do in 2 years, right? We got this figured out, so.
Good.
I just want to say it was a really good bargaining session. We actually, for both teachers and Teamsters, we had Joe Wilson, who's a mediator out there to come and help us facilitate the program and to work through issues we've had, and just it was just really good conversation that took place. I think all of us, and I'm not speaking for you guys, but I thought it was probably one of the best bargaining sessions we've ever had. It was very collaborative, just really understanding how to fix a couple things and to make things better. And so I just personally want to say thank you. I've done multiple contracts with everyone, and I can say this was it was enjoyable to be around the table and to talk and to figure out how to do things better, and all that. So I just want to say that out loud. It was I'm very grateful for all of you. So thank you.
Go ahead, Carol. I'm going to embarrass you. You want to say something?
Yeah, Carol.
You have to come to the podium,
Yeah.
or else I have to bring you this microphone.
And I do want to thank Carol. We've been really trying to clean the contract with a lot of housekeeping details and really making it clean. And I know Carol and the whole team has spent many, many hours doing that. So it really is a team effort to present it tonight and to get it nice looking. So thank you very much.
Well, Carol's kind of an old pro at it now. She's been through it.
I've been through a few of them now.
Yeah.
So yes, I told Tracy, I said, he's going to embarrass me, make me say something. I could see it coming. I would like to thank my team. Letitia Weeks, Tracy Spiegel, Tara Gordon, Beth Stubblefield, Sherry Wheeler. I mean, they worked extremely hard in preparation for the negotiations. We spent hundreds of hours, I will say, working on stuff and preparing for it to be ready for negotiations. I would say that this was probably the most prepared our team has ever been heading into negotiations, but the entire process was a lot better and more enjoyable than what it had been in the past. And, I look forward to that type of situation, that kind of negotiation continuing in the future. But I think that the team here for everything that they did and working together with us to get this negotiations was the quickest negotiations. It sure wasn't 2.5 years. So we do appreciate that. And thank you very much for all your hard work. Steve and Nicole, I know, helped you with some things, and we do appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, Carol, I'm going to do a flashback. In my life, you guys are so important to the school district. And I know sometimes you feel underappreciated, and I can understand why, when you got to go clean up puke and stuff like that sometimes, but those are the things that you got to appreciate, be appreciative about. You guys do things that a lot of other people don't want to do.
Right.
And the kids get to come back to these nice, beautiful, clean buildings, and then you guys, any time of year you can walk in and the school buses run as best they possibly can. I mean, the other districts around here, they had a lot more trouble than Miamisburg did, and we had our assistant superintendent driving school buses every now and then. So they're the cafeteria workers.
The support staff does an amazing job, and we're very proud to be part of it and represent them.
People are just, it's fabulous. So make sure you guys tell everybody that, please.
All right, thank you.
And it just speaks volumes that you're all here, so thank you for being here tonight in support of the contract.
I wouldn't wish that on anybody, Todd. No.
Oh, okay.
I drove a bus when I was coaching back then. I only had one problem: the garage door didn't go all the way up, and I ripped the lights off the top of the bus one time. But after 14 years of driving a bus, that wasn't too bad, I guess. Didn't hurt anybody. Okay, next we'll move on to and thank all of you. Thank you. Item C, is recommended by the Superintendent and Director of Student Services to enter into an agreement with St. Rita School for the Deaf. Ms. Lucas?
We have a student in the district who has, who obviously is deaf, who has gone to St. Rita's for multiple years, so this is a repeat contract.
Okay, thank you. Item D, it is recommended by the Superintendent and Director of Business to enter into an agreement with Assist Services LLC for transportation services during the 2023-2024 school year, effective as of August 15th of 2023. Mr. Homan.
So this is a blanket approval. We are hoping in the new contract that you're going to approve very quickly. We added a section for van drivers in there. And so we're kind of excited because we had Brenda move some stuff out yesterday, so we've already gotten some inquiries about it. So one of the thought process behind that for some of the places such as St. Rita's, down in Mason, some of the learning centers where there might be 1 or 2 students that we have to transport to, is to use vans and our own van drivers to do that. And so that's a new classification that we've added to the contract. It gives us an opportunity to employ additional members in our community, and by having our own employees, it saves quite a bit of money in contracting. So this service here is a blanket one that if we're not able to fill ones, we already have it in place. And a lot of times, Katie Lucas might get a phone call right away and be like, hey, this kid is starting and there's not time to get kids routed, or we don't have a bus going down there. So,
Steve, I have a question. I know in the past, schools have been, I guess, required, correct me if I'm wrong, to pick up homeless students. They may have even moved into other districts for a little while. Are the vans going to be able to do that?
yeah.
We don't want you on the photo.
Yeah, there you go. McKinney-Vento does require us to pick up students that potentially would land in another district because of homelessness. Oftentimes we enter into a shared agreement with the other district that you cross over into, and one or the other of us does the transporting and then reimburses the other district. But and these are van drivers, sometimes bus drivers, just depends on where it's at. We'll go and pick those students up for us.
Okay. Yeah, because I can remember maybe picking up 2 students and driving a bus and a bus driver and everything for going to Dayton, bringing somebody all the way down back here. It seemed like it was a rather expensive run for a bus, if you could do it in a van.
Foster care as well. So that's what I was going to add that. So it's not just homelessness, but foster care falls under that same guideline.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Item E, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve agreements A through D.
I move for the approval agreements and contracts items A through D.
I'll second.
We had a first from Mr. Daffler, second from Mrs. Getter. Roll call, please.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler.
Yes.
Okay, and those items have passed. We'll move on to to section 6, which financial agenda items, or are the financial agenda items. Item A is the approval of the certificate of available balances for the fiscal year 2024. Is recommended by the treasurer, CFO, approval of the following total amount from all sources available for expenditures from each fund set up in the tax budget with the balances that exist at the end of the fiscal year ending June 30th of 2024.
You want me to talk about them now, or do you want to run through them and then I'll talk about each one?
However you want to do it, you're the guy that's going to
That's
talk.
fine. Well, I'll just talk. This is just the saying, here's the funds that we have available that we can spend this year. So the board has to approve that they've acknowledged that this is the money that the district has. And then once that's approved by you all, I send it off to the auditor and they keep it on file.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay. Item B is recommended by the Treasurer CFO to approve the return of advances made for the following funds. Transfer Advance Activity Report.
So if you remember at the end of last fiscal year in the June board meeting, we approved advances. And that was to take money from the general fund and move it into grant funds that we spend out of and then are reimbursed for. But we can't end the fiscal year with negative funds. So we advance that money so that the funds balance out to end the fiscal year. And then once we open the new fiscal year, we advance those funds back into the general fund and request the reimbursement amounts.
Thank you. I followed that, so I think everybody else probably did. Yeah. Item C is the approval of amended appropriations for the fiscal year 24.
This is usually monthly as well. Anytime there's changes made in what is budgeted at the fund level, the board has to approve that. And so I go through in the accounting system and make any budgeting changes that we see we're going to need, and then I bring those to you all to be approved so that we can spend the money.
Thank you. Item D, it is recommended that the Board of Education approve the fiscal year 2024 018 and 200. I did that wrong. What's the FY for there? That fiscal year 24?
Yes.
01? Okay. 200 budget and purposes statements as presented. And I am not going to read those numbers. Go ahead.
Yes, so this was new for last year as like a required policy that building specific student club funds need to be board approved. And so the forms get sent out to building supervisors and then they complete these with how the funds are going to be spent, and then you all approve them so that we can allow them to spend that money.
Okay, thank you. Item E, the Treasurer CFO recommends that the Board of Education approve the following then and now invoices. Chubb, then and now.
So the then and now is if an invoice is either over the purchase order amount or if it occurs kind of with a conflict in the date and when things were input. And so this is just one of those scenarios.
Okay, thank you. Item F, the Treasurer CFO recommends the Board of Education approve the following purchases as presented.
And hold on, Dale, I'm going to stop you there because several of these were already approved in the contract. When we approve a contract and the contract amount is in there, we don't have to approve it a second time. But as board policy states that any purchase order that's going to be $25,000 or above needs to be board approved. So in my infinite wisdom, I've been going on and just putting these on here if I see them as over 25,000 because I thought that's what I should do. And after a little research and several discussions where people were trying to be nice to me and pretend like they didn't know, but maybe that is what I'm supposed to do, we corrected it. So several of these have come off, and the only ones that I can see that are on there that hadn't already been approved, and it's possible that they might have been, but it's not going to, there's nothing negative about approving it again, is the one for the Montgomery County ESC, the Metropolitan Education Technology, and then there was another one that was added that Laura did for us right before we got started here, so it's up on online, and that's for Meta Solutions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll go through those numbers. 27,000 Agile Sports Technologies, 105,000 Greene County ESC Project Life Program, 40,000 Montgomery County Environmental Services, $308,950 Weibel Energy Systems, 54,000 NWEA MAP Renewal, 46,500 St. Rita School for Deaf student tuition, $106,498, City of Miamisburg, and $120,000 Metropolitan Education of Technology. Mrs. Lucas, when you talked there, was this the cost for that student that we were talking about there?
So that's a perfect example of, you guys approved it just 5 minutes ago when we did the contracts, and then I put it in here again. So I'm trying to avoid that in the future.
Yeah, that's fine. You're doing a great job as far as I'm concerned.
Thanks.
Yes.
Item G, is recommended that the Board of Education approve the disposal of library books listed on the attached form, purchased with auxiliary funds that are housed at Bishop Leibold. Don't anybody have a heart attack on that, okay? When we're talking about getting rid of some books, it'll be explained. Who wants to do that one?
I mean, I'm happy to talk about kind of why we have to approve it, is because those funds come through us, and they purchase those library books with grant funds, with money that we receive, and as part of the money that we received is allocated to non-public, and so they purchased these. So because they're looking to get rid of them because they're out of date or not needed anymore, we have to approve them to be disposed of.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, that's the thing what you just said. A lot of times they are outdated and nobody wants them. You know, you can't even give them away to other schools. They don't want them. I can remember back in the 90s, early 2000s, there were schools down in southeastern Ohio that when we had some older science texts and even some history texts, they wanted them, they'd take them, but you can't hardly give them away anymore. Next we'll go to item H. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve financial items A through G. I have a motion.
Go ahead, Abe. I make a motion that the Board of Education approve financial items A through G.
I second.
Okay, we had a first from Mrs. Getter, a second from Mr. Ambler.
No.
That was Mrs. Neese or Mr.
Were
Daffler.
initialed by Corey
Now,
Daffler.
you guys are on the end, and I'm listening to her. She told me for you to get it. So.
It was Corey.
Was it Corey?
I don't know who it was.
Somebody.
Who was it? Was it you, Corey, or was it Chris?
It was Corey.
Okay.
Okay, so Mr. Daffler. Gee whiz.
Definitely want to approve it.
Yeah. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Blevins, you did an excellent job this month. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to Section 7, Acceptance of Donations. It's recommended that the Board of Education accept the following list of donations. All monies will be used through each school's 018 account unless indicated otherwise. Viking Valhalla donations through Miamisburg City Schools employees payroll deduction. Amount indicated is the total of a 3-year pledge unless otherwise indicated. $288 from Rebecca Huber, $1,800 from Stacy Moore, $1,080 from Shannon Rupert, $1,080 from Heather Wright. I have a motion.
I move for the acceptance of donations.
I second it.
Now that was Mr. Ambler and that was Mrs. Neese. Thank goodness. Okay. I would just like to thank, obviously, the staff members that are making these donations because they are definitely very much appreciated and will be used wisely. Okay. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Neese,
Yes.
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter.
Yes.
Okay. The only guy I know that talks more than me.
Joe,
Oh,
you're on.
sorry, Joe.
That hurt.
Everybody, she knew right away.
That really hurt.
Next, we'll move on to reports. And Mr. Joe Isakovich from the NVCTC would like to give us his news.
Good evening. Basically, we're going to be off to a good start here in a few short weeks. We have well over 1,100 junior students that will be attending this coming year. So that's a great number for us. And dates to remember, August 7th to 9th, the student schedule pickup in the evenings 5 to 7. August 10th, 11th, and 14th, we have a staff in service. August 10th, we have breakfast and staff welcome back. I will be attending. On August 11th, we'll have a staff recognition ceremony and luncheon that I will be attending. On August 14th, we have what we call the Breakfast at the Pond for all of our folks, and I will be attending that. That's always a good time, and I get to leave and smell like a campfire. August 15th, junior first day on campus. August 16th, first day for seniors on campus. I had the opportunity to talk to Representative Tom Young at the Jansen Myers golf outing this past weekend, and basically was talking to him about career technology education and the fact that we appreciate the push to increase funds for us because that is really becoming more and more important, especially with the employers in the state of Ohio. And in looking at, our treasurer did some simulations, and it looks like for fiscal year 24, we will be looking at an increase of over $2.3 million. And in fiscal year 25, $1.1 million. Also, I attended the Adult Diploma Program Aspire graduation ceremony on Friday, June 16th, and we had over 50 students graduated with their high school equivalency diploma through the Ohio Adult Diploma Program. Finally, I thought this was interesting. Our electrical instructor, Scott Skorupka, oversaw several of our electrical students on a field trip to Ryan Homes in Miamisburg. And he was able to get them hooked up with the electricians on site so that they could take a look and learn proper procedures for electrical installations, things like that. So it was nice to see that being done. That's short and sweet. That's all I've got. Any questions or comments?
That's a record. Good job.
Don't push it. Don't push it. Thank you.
Always like hearing your updates, Joe. That stuff is near and dear. Hear
Thank
the
you.
success of the CTC.
Oh, one
great
other
stuff.
item. We
Kept it
did
going.
put in our grant money for the addition to the new campus. And the state has advised us that we should hear mid-July or the end of July. And you know what that means.
August.
But our plans look good, and by doing that and increasing our curriculum items, we'll be able to take an additional 200 students if we're successful. So construction hopefully will continue. That's it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, next would be our legislative liaison, Corey Daffler.
Not much here. They're on recess, which is the best time because they're not making rules for us to abide by. So,
Okay, that's quick. Student Achievement Liaison, Mr. Amsler.
We are on summer break,
Oh,
so
yeah.
Okay,
maybe starting next month, but definitely in September.
thank you. Montgomery County Drug-Free Coalition Liaison, Ms. Ann Neese.
Yeah, and I left my notes at home, but I'll do the best I can. I know Rob Streck, the sheriff, talked about a large seizure of fentanyl, and it's laced with xylazine. And they're just having a lot of drug problems in our county right now, similar to what we saw in 2015. I also wanted to talk to you about two events. I'm glad I sent these in because I forgot my notes, but there's the family, I think it's the Families for Recovery rally at the Courthouse Square on August 27th, and then the Montgomery County Overdose Awareness Day on Thursday, August 31st at the Levitt Pavilion. The concert is going to be by the two recovering artists, so I thought that was really cool. They're going to have cotton candy for kids. They're going to have free tickets for food trucks. It just sounds like a great event, considering that we continue to have these problems in our world and in Montgomery County. These nonprofits and the sheriff and all the people in the coalition, they are working so hard to address this issue. We are so lucky to have that coalition in our community. And yeah, I don't really have my notes, but that's about all there was this time anyway. So yeah.
Okay, and there's really no district news this month either right now, so I'm sure that'll pick up, like Chris said, next month. We'll move on to Board of Education and staff comments, and we'll go down to Mr. Daffler.
I would just like to say thanks for everybody's hard work, both sides on the contracts. That's great. On all the contracts, it's good that everything went so smooth. I'd like to thank Steve for his hard work on the insurance and that all the stuff we learned at the last board meeting. That's probably a lot of work to go through all that stuff. And then just thanks for everybody gearing up to come back to school, and I'm sure everybody's excited. That's all I have. I'm ready for football season.
Yeah. I would like to give credit where credit's due. Carol, Tracy, your entire staff. I'm going to throw in there Jason and Ginger. I know I've been here 10 years. I know how passionate you have been since day one that I've been on the board. You and Tracy both, and your entire staff. A credit to you, a credit to Steve Homan and our entire staff of getting that contract. I've done a number of contracts with the fire department, never interest-based. So that was interesting to me, but I'm glad that it's done. I'm glad that both sides are happy. Anytime that you get something like that done, and as passionate as both of you are, looking out for all your constituents within your unions, that's a job well done. So nice job to everybody that was involved. Also, I have noticed on the down low briefly over the last 2 or 3 months the amount of donations that are going into Viking Valhalla from our staff, and I wanted to commend all those individuals for contributing. I know that is a chunk of change for anybody, so it's always appreciated, and I wanted to throw out my appreciation for that as well. And finally, I would like to congratulate Dr. Blessing on her contract in 5 years. So with that being said, I'll move it over to Miss Nyla.
I'm also excited about the contract, all the contracts, win-win for both the district and for those involved. And I know that the people that are on the support side, you don't get the credit that you should. you can make a difference, and I know you do make a difference in children's lives every day. Just because you're not standing up in front of them in a classroom, that doesn't mean that you are not a friendly face for them. And I know my daughter's a teacher, and she appreciates the people that are supporting her so much. So I want to thank you for that. Also, congratulations to Dr. Blessing on the contract. I think that we are the ones that are truly blessed, being citizens and getting the benefit of her knowledge and leadership. I'm also excited about the Joint Vocational School. My granddaughter is going to be going to the CTC, and she is over the moon about it. Awesome. So I can't wait to hear what she says about her experience there. We just talked about it today. Very excited about the school year starting. I know people think that teachers have it made and they're off all summer. That's a lie. I know that the teachers are getting ready, getting their classrooms ready. Some of the teachers have changed schools, and so they're having to reconfigure their new rooms. They're meeting with their teams, and that they are excited about the students they're going to be being able to interact with this coming year.
I just know at our last meeting, well, congratulations to Dr. Blessing and to the Teamsters for their contract and all of the hard work that went into that. We didn't get to go around the table, and I just wanted, with the Business Honor Roll recipients, I wanted to thank them again, and also thank Brenda Hibbard. She writes the letter, she addresses all the envelopes. She's a big help for that to happen. Also, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the class of 1973 touring the high school last month. There were about 40 persons from that class that attended. And I just wanted to thank Carol All and her co-workers for having the high school so spick and span. They were so impressed with how clean it was. Also thanking Carol for giving me a tour, an intensive tour, you know, of where everything is in the high school. But I got to thinking, you know, I don't really want to give this tour. So I got to talking to Tim Freeze, and we worked it out for his daughter, who's a senior, Allie Freeze, to give the tour. And I'll tell you, those alumni were so impressed with her. They were so impressed with the high school. Tim Freeze was there, and he talked about the digital design program. They just were super impressed. They thanked Allie over and over again, and Tim and me. I really didn't have a whole lot to do with it, but the high school made a big impression on our alumni, and that was neat. So neat to see. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I've already thanked Dr. Blessing for everything she's done, and you know, I truly mean that, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And Carol, all those times through the years we've worked together, talking at 11 and 12 o'clock at night and doing all that, you know, it made me, I'm sitting here smiling because we really didn't get to do the 11 and 12 o'clockers, but at least when we, you know, I think that everybody's smiling that things went as well as it did, and continues to do so, I'm sure, with you people sitting out there handling it, and people that did it from this. I hate using the term sides, because I don't think anybody's taking sides. You know, the negotiations is not it's working together to just come to a meeting of the minds is all it is. It's just coming to a meeting of the minds. And I'm so happy that that happened so easily, and it just drove me to death. I have to say it did. So, and I look forward to that happening in the future, guys. Okay, I'm done.
Just thanks for helping me with the negotiations and understanding my role in that, and Carol for helping me with the salary schedules and things.
As we wrap up summer, first of all, I wanted to explain my husband's presence here this evening. Back in 2020, when I was hired as the Miamisburg superintendent, I didn't even attend the board meeting in which I was hired because of COVID. So when he knew about this evening, he said, well, I have to see you get approved as the superintendent at Miamisburg, even if it's 3 or 4 years later. So that's why I allowed him to attend tonight. So you probably won't see him again because, you know, but as he said, I appreciate the board support and also our community and staff, but also as a staff, all of the contracts we've worked on this summer, all of the hiring we've done, we truly appreciate the board's support as we work through navigating, finding the right folks, keeping and retaining our folks, and just look forward to doing better for our students.
Well, I did notice that Todd was taking notes back there only when you were talking. So I take it you're going to try to straighten her up this evening? Thanks.
I'm sure he will. But also this week, Officer Copsey and the Miamisburg Police Department and also the fire district utilized our high school for 3 days for some training in case there was in the event of an intruder or any type of event. And he reached out and thanked us and is looking forward to possibly planning another training next summer. And we did it last summer as well. And so that's just a vital partnership amongst our agencies, and it's just so educational. And I talked to a fellow, one of Ryan's fellow police officers, and they just mentioned how beneficial they weren't there last year because of vacation, and they just thanked me again for allowing that to happen. So we appreciate that partnership, and again, just we're better prepared in case in the event of any type of emergency that would require them to come and respond. So that was exciting.
I wanted to just say one thing. They were really impressed with all the door locks.
Okay,
that
great.
The
safety locks.
administration got the grant for. Yeah. I showed them how they worked and everything. They were so happy to see that in the high school because a lot of those people actually still live in Miamisburg.
Great. Yeah. And also, you know, a big shout out to our Teamsters team and our negotiation team from the district. It was a great process. So excited to have this complete and see some of the new changes we've made, and hopefully again have some new classifications for our special ed and our van drivers, and just to see how it's going to be better for our members and our staff. And as Ann talked about the businesses that we recognized last month, I received a thank you note from Marty Grunder, and he wanted to thank us for his recognition. He feels that he's very proud to be a part of the Miamisburg schools and support us, and he says that we have a great group of schools and we are in such a great community, and he wants us to continue to reach out and expand that partnership with Grunder. So that was nice to get that thank you note. And Amy mentioned the ECE grant, the Early Childhood Education Grant, and we have continued to try to seek funding for our Preschool Promise and MVCDC partnership. And the ECE grant is offered to schools through the Ohio Department of Education, and it could be a sustaining fund. So depending on how many seats we get this summer, we can continue maybe to use that if things don't change in the biennium when they do their next budget. This could be a sustainable source, so that, because as Amy mentioned, both of our preschool sites are full, we have talked about expansion for next year if there's room, and it definitely sounds like it needs, so that's exciting. And then we do have the Miamisburg High School Alumni Golf Outing next Friday. So that is at Pipestone. It starts at 8 o'clock. If anyone is interested, they are still taking teams. That organization, our Alumni Association, gives from that golf event, they give the schools $10,000. So it's a great event, and I know a lot of us are going to be helping that day, but if anybody listening or in the audience would like to put a team together, they're still taking teams, and we have that information on our website. They're a great partnership and support our schools, so that's exciting. And of course, we are looking forward to school starting. We've worked all summer. We'd like the next few days in July to go as slowly as possible so everyone gets their fill of summer, right? But it's going to be busy in the next couple weeks. A lot of our school staff return. A lot of our secretaries, our principals have started trickling in. But by the time we meet again in August, we will be in full session. So exciting. Thank you again.
So just kind of talking what Dr. Blessing said, if you have new neighbors in your neighborhood or anything like that, please remind them. Our schools are in full swing next week. We like to get student registrations complete. That's very helpful to us as we look at class sizes and placements, and especially if you know any kindergartners that are out there, please reach out to them and have them get it registered as soon as possible, as well as we're finalizing full day, half day sessions, the buildings and all of that. So that would be very helpful to do that. And so as we kind of look into next year, I'm going to do my plug for to have parents out there or neighbors or grandparents. We'd love to have you come and sub in our district or to volunteer for us in the district. It's a great opportunity to be on the same schedule as your kids during the day. You can pick which buildings you'd like to sub in or what you'd like to do. So it's a great opportunity to come out and help us earn some money and be on the same schedule as your kids. So feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Heather Wright, reach out to anyone, and we'd love to get you signed up and on our sub list as well. So, and
I think we forgot about the food truck rally next Friday, right? For the band.
Food truck rally, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it start at 5? The food trucks are at 5, and then the program, is it at 7? 7. Yes. So they've started pre-band camp this week, and they're going to do a little bit of their show for us next Friday. So it's always a great time, and it's just wonderful to hear how much they accomplish in 2 weeks. Well, I know they probably work a little longer than that, but they sound really great. So it's exciting. Hopefully we have good weather.
Amy, anything? No message you want to give to the parents or anything? Okay. Katie? Okay. Now we'll move on to public comments. Each person addressing the board shall give his or her name and address. Each person is allotted 3 minutes to speak. We will give a 30-second warning so that speakers know when their 3 minutes are up. We have a green sheet here from Scott Taylor. And you may have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Dale. It's always an honor and a privilege to come speak to you guys. This evening I want to talk to you about some research I had done about the Equity Fellows program that the district recently purchased from the Montgomery County Educational Service Center. I spent many hours analyzing the Equity Fellows training slides that I acquired through a public records request, and I'm kind of shocked by what I found. I really think this material is egregious. This program classifies individuals as victims and oppressors based on their race and creates division. The program's stated goal is to increase the educational level of working adults in Montgomery County. However, really it contains nothing to accomplish that goal. These are some of the things I found in looking through this. That our schools are built on racist systems that target minority students, and that those systems need to replace them with something that will humanize all students. Claims our schools are full of internalized, interpersonal, institutional, and structural racism. Claims that our nation is complicit in the execution of racist systems. Americans subconsciously associate blacks with apes, and that society is more likely to condone violence against black criminal suspects as part of a broader inability to accept African Americans as fully human. Promotes white racial identity development. Whites are privileged. Whites have unresolved racial moral dilemmas. Whites have feelings of fear and anger towards people of color. Whites often view their social racial group as superior. Whites can be rehabilitated and to become actively involved in directly confronting racism and oppression and become anti-racist. Black culture hates whites. The program's first-year deliverables was for each participant to write their racial autobiography. I guess that's so they know how racist they are, and a facility training program for the district. And I really feel, is this really indoctrination? But there are better ways to get to know others of difference that help them succeed. I'm really no stranger to black culture. When I was a child, I had several black friends, and after college, I rented an apartment with one of my friends. I learned about black culture by engagement and not judging them by the color of their skin. As a part of the inner city ministry, we challenge inner city kids to ride their bicycles from Cincinnati to Niagara Falls, Canada, and that was a stress camp for the adults as well. So they could learn that anything is possible if they
30
believe and
seconds.
commit to a plan. On that trip, we modeled what it is to be like part of a loving and caring family. Every one of those kids made it to the falls, and their lives were changed for the better. At no time did we talk about race, social justice, or being oppressed. We were all one in Christ, helping everyone to succeed. In closing, this board needs to take action, to eliminate racist programs from this district, because really, I don't think that's is what our district is about. And I thank you for your time.
Perfect.
Ooh, perfect, right?
Okay. Next, we'll move on to section 10. That is adjournment of the meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I second it.
Okay. And first from Mr. Daffler, second from Mrs. Neese. Roll call?
Mr. Toadvine,
Yes.
Mr. Amsler,
Yes.
Mr. Daffler,
Yes.
Mrs. Getter,
Yes.
Mrs. Neese.
Yes.
Thank you. We are